Hello, hello.
Hi, Sean. This is Priscilla from Florida. You've already heard from my husband and business partner, Fernando, his testimonial, so now it's my turn. We started investing in real estate end of 2008. And between then and end of 2011, we did one wholesale where we made $1,000, and then we lost $1,000 in a bad wholesale. So we basically broke even. We also acquired 2 dirt cheap rental properties. So we currently have those. And we learned from a lot of different people, but it never really clicked for us. And there were a couple times where we were ready to give up. So around November of 2011, Fernando started listening to your podcasts. And he tells me about them. Oh, you should listen to this guy, Sean, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, thank you. Because we've been through too many already. I don't want to hear about any course that anybody's selling. So I just let him listen to it. So the more he talked to me about it, the more it intrigued me as to what you were talking about. So I downloaded the podcast, and every morning while I went for my jog, I would listen to your podcast in my iPod. And one day it clicked, and I understood why he was so excited to be listening to you, why he was learning so much. It's because of the way you explain things and because of the formula you give. So we began implementing the things that you told us to do. This was beginning of 2012. We started tithing again. We started doing mailings. The first mailing we did was an inheritance list. And then we also started bidding on HUD. So from the inheritance list, Fernando was able to close an agreement for sale, and he also closed on a HUD. Then it was my turn. So I started implementing things. I started bidding on HUD. At that time, I was still working a full-time job, and I remember being frustrated because you would say, oh, you have to have a year's worth of income before you leave your job. And I'm like, oh, Sean, no, man, I'm not going to be able to make it.
How much, hold on, baby. How much were you making a year?
I was making $30,000 a year at the time. And I had been at that job for 9 years. And I had an awesome boss who got transferred to a different city. And I remember throughout the 9 years that I worked there, he would tell me, oh, you're so spoiled, you're so spoiled. I don't know what you're going to do when you have your next boss. And I would tell him that I'm going to be my next boss. And I would, I really knew that that was going to be the case. So when I got this new boss in August, everything started going downhill at work. It was a very hard time for me and for the rest of my staff. So in November, Fernando and I had saved up about 1/3 of my income for the year. And I said, you know what, Sean? I'll take your advice, but I can't wait till I have the $30,000. So I took a leap of faith, and I put in my 2-week notice on November 15th, and November 30th was my last day at work.
Yes, but hold on, baby. But in October we bought a house that we were gonna rehab.
Yes. Okay. Well, in October.
So that was the because of that, the money was coming. Then we did it smartly, wisely.
Right. So, right, but Fernando would also remind me that Sean says you have to have the money because of wholesaling, not because of rehabbing. So we knew that we were going to do the rehab, and the money was going to come.
How much were we expecting to make?
We were expecting to make $15,000 from that rehab, which was going to take us a couple months.
So plus whatever we have saved.
And whatever we had saved, we were close to my annual salary. So we were pretty excited about that. So I took the leap of faith and I said, I'm just going to do this. So on November 28th, I got a HUD accepted, and it just came out of nowhere.
How many days after you left your job?
No, I hadn't left my job yet.
Okay.
I hadn't left my job yet. I got the contract. I got it accepted on November 28th. I remember on November 29th, the day before I left, I took half of the day off so that I can sign all the papers with my realtor, make sure everything was signed in blue ink, and send it off. And by December 1st, I had an offer on the property. And by December 4th, the buyer put his $5,000 in escrow, and he was ready to close. He was a cash buyer. The beautiful part about this is I didn't have to put out any street signs. I just put an ad on Craigslist, and this buyer came to me. And I negotiated with him through email. I did speak with him a couple times over the phone, but then when he sent me his offer, it was all through email, and it worked out. And so we closed that on December 28th. So before a month had even passed from my last day of work, we closed that. And I don't have the check, of course, because I deposited it, but I do have the stub that was on the check. So as you see, it's for $9,012.14, but we had $1,000 in escrow, so this was really an $8,000 deal. And then on top of that, because I am a licensed sales agent, I received a referral commission of another $550. So this was an $8,500 deal that I was able to close.
Boom, baby!
Boom, baby! That was my first check as a wholesale, all by myself. So I'm pretty excited to share that with you. We just came back. Okay, I'm trying here. We just came back on Monday. Oh,
Come on, baby. You need to finish it. We're almost there.
We just came back on Monday from your 3-day seminar.
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta, where we were able to learn a lot from you and from everybody you had on stage. We really benefited from everybody you had on stage. And before those 3 days, we were kind of lost. We didn't have a sense of direction. And everything just put it into perspective. We knew that once we went to the seminar for those 3 days, we were going to get everything in order. And it was an amazing 3 days. After the first day, I was ready to go home because I wanted to implement everything that you had talked about. But then everybody else that weekend, it just made everything great. So then as we're driving home, because we drove up to Atlanta, as we're driving home to Florida, we get notice that our house, our rehab, is going to close this week. So that was Monday, and today's Friday, and we just finished closing our house.
The one that we bought in October before you quit.
Before I quit, and we had that property on the market for a week and a half before we got a full price offer, and it's just been an amazing journey. And
it's not a wholesale, but
it's not a wholesale. It's a rehab, but we are wholesaling in the process also. So here is our rehab check.
For what?
$41,000.
Wow! And how much profit from that is?
We will be netting $30,000.
And how much were you expecting to make?
We were expecting to make $15,000.
And we're making?
And we're making 30 because we have some.
Boom, baby!
So, but also I wanted to tell you that after we came home this week and before we even started implementing anything, the phone would not stop ringing. We have leads coming. We've gone to see houses. We've put in offers on houses. It looks like we have a really good wholesale or rehab house that we might be getting accepted. We put in the offer for $45,000, and if all goes well and we get it accepted, there is a big spread there. The ARV on that is between $150,000 and $170,000. So we're contemplating whether or not we're going to wholesale it or we're going to keep it as a rehab. But it's been amazing. I know this is just the beginning of the ride, and I thank you, Sean, for sharing all of your knowledge, for being the instrument to help us get to where we're at. We know that it's something, as Philly Mike was saying, it's supernatural. We know it's God. We know it's God working in us, and we know He's bringing the right people into our lives. So I just want to say thank you, because this is my dream, and it's coming true.
Because you used to watch Flip This House.
Right? I remember I used to sit and watch Flip This House and say, oh, I want to do that, but I knew nothing about real estate, and I want to do that, and I want to do that, and I made it happen. And that whole visualizing, it's true. It's true, because I have visualized it this whole time, and now it's all here and it's all real. So thank you, Sean. I love you from the bottom of my heart, and we will continue doing what you're doing, what you tell us to do, and we'll keep moving forward, and hopefully we'll have an even bigger testimonial for your next seminar. So thank you, and thank you for all of the people that you brought to the seminar also.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Boom, baby.
Boom, baby.